Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 327. I'll be honest. A show that the audience is likely looking forward to quite a bit more than me. A show that, you know, it's very ironic. I'm drinking out of the coffee cup Game Theory with Bomani Jones. Bomani texted me this morning, just trolling me. Well, he started by trolling JJ Redick, but then he started trolling me saying, shame the Lakers didn't last long enough for us to watch a playoff game together. That would have been fun. And I wrote him back, given how the Lakers playoffs went, it wouldn't have been fun at all. And so listen, let's just get into Demonze. Hi, good to see you. Happy to see you. I love you. I'm proud of you. You're my beloved son.
Doing,
great,
Pops?
awesome,
Rough morning,
cool, fun stuff. Let's get to what missed the cut. Stephon Castle becomes the fourth San Antonio Spur to win Rookie of the Year. If he does not end his career as one of the 25 greatest players of all time, he has not carried on that legacy. No big shoes, kiddo. But Robinson's there, Duncan's there, Wemby appears to be on his way. Dyson Daniels wins Most Improved Player, and Boston completes gentleman's sweep of Orlando. A reminder, please, like, rate, subscribe, review. Check out the podcast. You can troll me in the comments. It's fine. I'll be honest, probably won't be reading them today. But the producers might pick a select few to bring to my attention if they find them particularly funny, because it's not just that I'm bummed. It's not just this is the second straight year that the Lakers and LeBron in the playoffs don't get out of round one. It's also that this is the first Lakers playoff loss since LeBron's been there that is shocking. This one is shocking to me. When they lost to the Suns, that series turned on Anthony Davis pulling his groin. Like, I thought they would win that series, but your second best player or best player, I don't know, depending on how you viewed Anthony Davis, then pulls his groin, it changes. 2 years ago, when they got all the way to the conference finals, I thought they could win. They obviously got swept by Denver, but it wasn't shocking that they lost. Last year, when they got Denver in round one and Denver was the overwhelming favorite, I said, hey, if you're ever going to beat Denver, round one's the time that you have the best chance, but I wasn't shocked by it. This one shocked me, and so I have some, accounting to do on that front. And so I'm not sure how much we're going to talk about today that isn't about the end of the Lakers season, the ascension of Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert having his annual Rudy Gobert game, which is honestly, Demonze, here is, it's really important to remember, stay humble, like Giannis would say, stay humble, be grounded, because nobody took more pleasure on TV last year than me in the last Rudy Gobert game we got. Because that was against Denver in Game 7, and Kevin Wildes was covered in shame, and I got to mock him for it. And I've never really been a Rudy Gobert guy. I don't know if there are many Rudy Gobert guys outside of Leon. However, I enjoyed that performance. And then the Rudy Gobert game came for me. And in really maddening fashion. So, again, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe on all your podcast platforms. And now, Demonze, go ahead.
So the Lakers season ended last night at the hands of Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. Some might say Rudy Gobert. JJ Redick had a similar scheme. He played his starters a lot of minutes. They came closer at the end, but then kind of ran out of gas. They couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. How'd you get this series so wrong? You said they were going to win this one. They obviously didn't.
Well, yeah, and I said Lakers. I said my favorite bet was Lakers minus a game and a half.
Yeah.
Meaning Lakers in 4, 5, or 6. And when I was giving the analysis of that bet, I said I didn't even really consider the possibility of the Lakers losing the series as the reason the bet didn't come in. I thought it was because the Lakers, maybe they win in 7, but I thought they would be hard-fought games. The Lakers were clearly better. So I do want to start with me because I got to a whiff this strong, you got to figure out, you got to kind of do a autopsy, a post-mortem of your own takes. And The number one thing that I clearly overestimated going into this postseason was how dynamic and unstoppable the Lakers' offense would be. I thought there was a little too much attention paid to the Lakers' defensive deficiencies, not because I thought they'd be a great defense, but because I thought it was pretty clear, we had proof of concept, that the Lakers' defense could be average. That the Lakers' defense could be fine, and that if the Lakers' defense is fine, even given their size limitations, that this offense with Luka and LeBron was going to be a top 3 in the league over the court, net rating wise or offensive rating wise offense. And it was nothing close to that. And so that was whiff number one. Whiff number one was that the Lakers offense would put the other team under such pressure to keep scoring and to keep pace that a younger Timberwolves team, a Timberwolves team that only has one true superstar, a Timberwolves team that has a few guys who are max players who have long playoff histories, but the playoff histories are, checkered in Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, that the weight of LeBron and Luka on the offensive side of the ball would be too much for him. None of that happened. We didn't have a single game this series where LeBron and Luka were both outstanding on the offensive end. And we did have last night, and we'll talk obviously more about the individual parties involved here shortly, but last night was the first time in an elimination game that LeBron wasn't outstanding in a decade. Honest to God, if you go through, it was somewhat jarring to see if you look at what LeBron James, who averages 35 points per game in his career in elimination games, what he did last night in comparison. Like, if I can just quickly give you the game logs, last year against Denver, he had 2 games facing elimination against Denver. The first game, he had 35 and 4. The next game, and because they won it, he had 39 and 11. The year before, facing elimination against Denver, he had, I think, 30 in the first half, and he finished with 40, 10, and 9. When they lost to Phoenix in a game they really didn't have much of a chance. If you remember, that's the game Anthony Davis started and then played like 30 seconds, then came out of the game. LeBron, 29, 9, and 7. Facing elimination, they never faced elimination en route to the bubble in the championship run. And then if you look at Game 7 against Boston, or Game 6 and 7 against Boston, facing elimination because they're down 3-2. 46, 8, and 11. 35, 15, and 9. You can go his whole career. It's like, okay, we're facing elimination. I have to ramp it up. Here's the part that last night informed me on. He fired those bullets over the weekend. He felt correctly, clearly, we were facing elimination in Game 4. And in Game 3, he had the 38, 10, and 4, and they blew it at the end. In Game 4, he had 27, 12, and 8, and the defensive stops at the end. And in Game 5, the 40, it was a weird LeBron game because he had 3 of his most explosive offensive plays of those 3 dunks that he's had all postseason. But he just didn't have the juice last night. So LeBron didn't have the juice. Luka's performance last night, even more shocking. Because Luka has been a back against the wall, I'm going to F you up. Everybody's tough when they're up.
Luka seemed pretty messed up, like basically this whole series, though.
Yeah.
Whether it was sicknesses or yesterday, I feel like he came out with like some back spasm type of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, he got hurt, but he didn't. If it was, he had looked awesome and until the hard fall, that would
Right.
be one thing. But that's not what it was. Like, he was relatively passive in the first quarter, which is when he has crushed. It felt early on like LeBron and Luka were both like, okay, let's conserve energy in the first quarter so we have more in the fourth quarter. And at first it looked like a bad strategy because they were down 14.
Right.
But then once, despite all that, they were able to claw their way back into the game and actually take a 1-point lead, you thought, oh, this could work out. But LeBron didn't have the extra gear, and Luka didn't have it really, I don't want to say the whole series, but the last 3 games. Since he got sick, Luka didn't have the Luka playoff gear. 28, 7, and 9 on 7 of 18 from the field for Luka is by his standards a bad playoff game. Now, the flip side to that, and where credit must be given, is the other guys are paid too. And the Timberwolves' defensive plan against Luka and against LeBron was outstanding. The Timberwolves trusting, you know what? Austin Reeves, if you beat us, you beat us. We don't think you're going to beat us. It was smart. It worked. And so I'm not going to kill Austin Reeves. He had a rough series. But also, the Lakers shouldn't have needed Austin Reeves to be great to force a game 6 against the Timberwolves. And I understand that the Timberwolves are now 21-5 in their last 26. And I think they have 10 or it's either 10 or 15. I don't remember. Double-digit wins in that stretch. I get that maybe I am still, even to a degree, underrating or disrespecting the Timberwolves. But this Lakers team, it was not, and this is what's so frustrating about the way the season ended. It was not some hope and a prayer media creation. They had almost the exact same record against the Western Conference as Oklahoma City did. They were a dominant team at home where they lost 2 of these games. They had, I think, the 4th best record in the league against the best teams in the league. We saw them at the end of the year against a full strength Oklahoma City team blow them out and then go toe-to-toe with them a week before the playoffs. They were rested. All of those things happened, and while LeBron did not have a great Game 5, you did get great LeBron performances in Games 2, 3, and 4. So it wasn't that, the old man slowed down at the end. He did at the very end. And they still just got annihilated in this series. The thing about last night that made usually, DeMonze, if a team loses a closeout game that, is a 1-possession game with a few minutes left, it's heart-wrenching. I gotta tell you, it's not how I felt watching the Lakers squander that game at the very end, because they were incredibly lucky last night that they weren't blown out. Anthony Edwards was 0 for 11 from 3. Yeah. The Timberwolves as a whole shot 47 threes and made 7 of them. Think about that. They were 15% from 3. So Ant was 5 of 19 from the field. And that's another weird thing for Ant, because he's going to get his flowers today, as he should. But it reminded me actually a lot of Game 7 against Denver, the biggest win of Anthony Edwards' career, he was 6 of 24 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, had 16 points. It was his worst game of the series, and they came back and beat Denver anyway. Last night, he's 5 of 19 from the field, 0 of 11 from 3, has 15 points, and it's the game that he knocks off Luka and LeBron, which is a testament to the Timberwolves and a testament to Julius Randle was excellent. This entire series, Julius Randle was reliable. And obviously, Rudy Gobert's 9 offensive rebounds, 24 total rebounds, him scoring 27 points in a playoff game was unfathomable. And you can say, oh, listen, the Lakers don't play a center. The Lakers haven't played a center all series. Rudy Gobert's stat lines prior to last night: 2 and 6, 6 and 6, 1 and 3, 5 and 10, and then 27 and 24. Prior to last night in the series, Rudy Gobert had 14 points, 25 rebounds in the 4 games. Last night he had 27 points, 24 rebounds.
But not having a big guy in there is going to come back to bite you eventually, right?
Well, clearly. I mean, so clearly it did, but the point that I'm making is, and you guys know from what I was saying earlier in the series, that I thought, and even though the Lakers were in a tough spot, one of the things that had worked out for them was that the Timberwolves, and we talked about this, that even though the Lakers were playing was 6'8" and below, Rudy wasn't killing them. That they were getting away with playing that small because the Timberwolves didn't want to give Rudy Gobert the ball. And I'll be honest, last night, they didn't give him the ball that much. It was all on offense, not
second
all,
chance efforts.
but it was on offensive rebounds. It was on putbacks. It wasn't a lot of they passed it to Rudy Gobert. And so a guy who has in his 70, how many games is his playoff career? 74 game playoff career, who went into last night with 5 career 20-point playoff games and 0 career 25-point playoff games, puts 27 on your head. A guy who in his 74 career playoff games, once going into last night, had more than 18 rebounds in a game in the playoffs, puts 24 rebounds on your head. It was a dominant performance by him. It was a great performance by by Julius Randle. And that's the other piece. Jaden McDaniels in foul trouble immediately, and it didn't matter. So this was it felt to me like, and this is not an excuse, and it might even be an indictment. It felt to me like the Lakers felt they lost the series on Sunday. And that they came out because there was no energy in the first quarter. It was something of a miracle.
Minnesota was leaving it up there for grabs. 100%.
Yes.
They were playing pretty complacent with the lead, taking a lot of deep shots instead of driving.
It was a miracle. It's exactly right, Demaze, that this game was close late. If Minnesota just has a C- shooting night instead of the worst shooting night any team will have in the playoffs over the next 3 years, which is really what they did. The Lakers are down 25.
Right.
And so the credit to the Timberwolves, man. And
what about the Mark Williams trade, man? How
well,
would that have changed this?
here's the thing. What they gave up in the Mark Williams trade was Dalton Connect, a first-round pick, and I think a swap. So there is no argument to be made like, well, for this series and this postseason, that would have hurt you because Dalton Connect got 0 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So since the guy you traded, you never played, in the short term, and Mark Williams took a bit of a victory lap, I understand, on Twitter. I get that. It certainly felt like, and when they didn't get Mark Williams, they signed Alex Lynn, who played 0 minutes. Now, Maxi Kleba comes off the bench after not playing in months because of his injury. JJ gives him 5 minutes, and more on JJ shortly. It sure feels like they would have had a better chance now in retrospect in this series. They had Mark Williams. We never saw him play with him, and now that powder is dry for, a move this coming summer potentially. But I can't pick a team to win the championship and then when they get popped in round 1 and 5, be like, well, here's all the obvious flaws with the roster. Like, that's bullshit. I knew Mark Williams wasn't on the team. I knew how big the Timberwolves were when I said after game 82 of the season that I thought the bracket fell perfectly for the Lakers. And now you look at it and you say, well, that was wrong. Obviously. So no, but at its core, people are going to, I think, focus on the wrong things. I think what happened to the Lakers, in my opinion, is 3 games of this series, and they scored less than 100 points. 4 games of the series, they scored less than 105. The 1 game they won, they only scored 94. And so folks are going to say the issue was they were never going to be good enough defensively. Maybe. But the issue in this series was an offense that the only way to look at this Lakers team as a legitimate contender was going to be they have an elite offense. That offense was never elite. It was never even very good. And it's just remarkable to me that it's the same offense I saw a few weeks ago drop 126 in OKC in a game OKC wanted, and then have like 110 with 6 minutes left in OKC against that defense in the game Luka got ejected in. The Lakers role players all had some struggles. Luka obviously wasn't himself. LeBron ran out of gas in every one of these fourth quarters, and
I'm
that's how you lose in 5.
Given it, Austin, I feel like you did really go easy on Austin Reeves. If those guys aren't gonna show up, then who has to show up? I think it has to be Austin.
Well, no, listen. So Austin Reeves for the series was 16, 5, and 3 on 41-32 splits. It's a bad series. Yeah. The reason I'm not focusing on that is because I just think that would be kind of bullshit, in that I didn't pick the Lakers. I think people that are discerning listeners to how I do this stuff are maybe at times surprised at how fair I try to be to what is honest commentary. I didn't pick the Lakers because I thought Austin Reeves was going to cook.
Right.
So and so this was the first playoff run of his career where a lot was expected of him. That's where
fair. That's fair.
And he didn't listen. He wasn't great, but he's a young player who doesn't make a ton of money. Who you just I don't like when stars are awesome, their team loses, and people then blame the star. the example of that would have been if after the Pacers
Giannis.
beat the Bucks, if people were
Right.
like, Giannis needed to do more. Giannis did fucking everything he could have done, and they got beat. So, like Bill James used to say, bad teams have an amazing ability to blame their best players for their biggest problems. And so I try not to do that. But what I also try not to do is when a team that I thought was going to win because of the overwhelming star power at the very top doesn't win, and those two stars are good, but not what I thought they would be, then be like, man, needed more from your third option.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
and so it's not like that I'm trying to protect Austin. It's nothing like that. It's that he wasn't very good. But Austin Reeves playing at a C minus level again should not be the reason you're going home in 5. And that's where we end up. So I'm going to get to a bunch of the other stuff, and I actually do, Demonze, want the first thing we talk about here in a minute to be JJ Redick. So if we need to adjust our rundown, that's fine, because I do want to
Nice.
talk about the Redick piece of this. Then we'll get to LeBron and Luka. But first, the NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun has begun. The NBA playoffs are here. It's time for all the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. Can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through to the finals, now's the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30, 40, or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Lock in your bets and let's make this playoff run unforgettable. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WRIGHT. That's code WRIGHT, WRIGHT, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, Demonze, let's get to some of this other stuff as we spend a lot of time on Lakers Wolves.
Yeah, so JJ Redick was asked in a pregame presser if he was going to consult with his assistants a little bit more, and he got offended by that and kind of stormed out of the meeting.
Yeah.
And Dragonfly Jones came out and said,
Friend of the show.
yeah, so quote, you can't be the smug, know-it-all new coach, and then every coach, whoever schemed against Rudy, did a better job than you. Answer those questions at the podium, bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here's the deal. So I'm also not going to. So I'm big on, and we can take Dragonfly's tweet off. I'm big on. This is going to sound silly. Just being honest, no matter how it looks or if people think there's an agenda there or whatever it is. So over the last couple years, when I have criticized the Lakers coaching, it hasn't been to protect LeBron. It hasn't been because I was looking for a fall guy. It was because I thought Darvin Ham was, objectively speaking, a bad coach. And I thought he put them in bad, strategic, and tactical and lineup situations, and it hurt their chances of succeeding. That's why I criticized him. I am not going to, all of a sudden, because they lost a series that I thought they should win, act like I don't think JJ Redick over the course of the year did an excellent job. I think he did. I think JJ Redick is a really sharp coach. I think there are a lot of major positives for JJ Redick from a work ethic, from attention to detail, from tactics, from understanding the kind of newer elements of what you would call analytics, but it's really just kind of smart math on things. All of those things I give him high marks for. With that said, my concern about JJ coming in, and you guys can remember this, you can check the tape, was actually a personality concern, which was I saw how JJ dealt with criticism when he was in the media. I saw how JJ, how online he was, and reading mentions and reading what was being written. And I was worried that when times got tough, that JJ Redick wouldn't react well to that. The first tough times he really had, the first real criticism he got his entire tenure, was after he did something literally no coach has ever done in basketball history: play all 5 starters, play the same 5 guys all 24 minutes in a playoff game for the second half. He got some criticism for it, and then also was asked about it pregame, and immediately became a bit of a petulant child. And that was the concern. Here is the other concern. And this is one JJ is not going to like to hear. But the record speaks for itself. JJ Redick, his entire basketball life, gets tight in big spots. At the peak of his basketball career, when he was the best player in college basketball at Duke, go look at those tournament stat lines. And you might say this is ridiculous. Why are you bringing up JJ Redick's, 03 or 06 NCAA tournament and talking about the Lakers? I'll explain. But JJ Redick, he was an unbelievable college basketball player who was not a very good NCAA tournament player. Was on 4 Duke teams, any of which could have won the national championship. Got popped in the Sweet 16 almost every year. Made it to one Final Four. And it wasn't like, oh, JJ was great. No, that's not how it went. Go back and look if you don't remember. Then, as Jerry West reminded him when JJ did the plumbers and firemen bit, JJ in the pros, as really good as he was later in his career, was not a good playoff performer. So why am I bringing that up now? He strikes me as a guy who gets a little tight, who's wound a little tight. And when you have on the TNT broadcast the sideline reporter who never, that's like the opposite of the take industry, is the sideline reporter. When you have the sideline reporter telling us, ooh, JJ was wound up when we met with him before the game. He was on edge. And then when you have JJ storming out of a press conference, when you have in the game, he has committed before the game, I'm not going to play Jackson Hayes. But then all of a sudden you are just getting your teeth kicked in on the offensive glass. And you're like, well, I've already said I'm not playing Jackson Hayes. So I guess Maxi Kleber, who again, I think could have been useful for the Lakers because he's a big guy who can shoot and has a relationship with Luka. The problem is he hadn't practiced or played with him once ever. You put him in, like, to coach who got a little tight. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard my dog freaking out. It's a coach that he got a little tight. And so I think that if I am giving JJ Redick advice for next year and for the rest of his coaching career, because I do think he has a lot of the talent to be a really good head coach. And Lucas said great things about him afterwards. Said it reminded him of being back in Europe with the style of coaching and the attention to detail, all that. It honestly is, as silly as it sounds, just chill a little, man. Just breathe and chill.
Well,
And
I think that
go
also,
ahead.
I think he was also in his head about making that decision, and like he's like, I don't want to call it embarrassed, but like the fact that he's being questioned on it, he just can't stand it. He walked away.
I I also think.
Sorry for the birds, by the way, guys. I didn't know
Oh,
you
I
guys weren't
loved
able
it.
to hear,
I
so
was I
got
I,
some
I
Snow
was gonna
White stuff
ask you
going
about
on.
that. I think it sounds delightful. I was like, oh man, this is a nice little background to the pod. Just chirping Southern California birds.
Right.
But so here's the thing. Almost assuredly, I can't bet this, but I would bet almost anything that Redick had no idea that no coach ever had played all 5 guys for the second half of a playoff game. Like when he was doing it, like why would he? I didn't know it. You know
Right.
what I mean? The
Like we made history.
right, correct. I'm sure he knew it was rare, you know what I mean?
Right. Like
Unorthodox,
never
but not
before.
no
Like,
team
not one
ever
time.
in basketball history.
Right.
And so then when they fall apart at the end, and then he finds out I'm the first guy to ever do this, I bet he felt a little boxed in and maybe even a little embarrassed. And so I think he is wound a little tight. And I think that unfortunately manifested itself in big spots in his playing career. And now, first run in the playoffs, manifested itself a bit in the first really big spot of his coaching career. That's all. It's not a lifelong indictment. It just is what it is. All right, DeMonte, let's get to Luka. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously they made the big trade for Luka, sent Anthony Davis to Dallas. What do you like? What does this situation look like if they never traded Anthony Davis over there?
Well, I don't think they would have gotten to the 3 line had they kept Anthony Davis. I don't, especially given the fact that his injury clearly was more substantial than Luka's. So I think we do have to consider that piece of it. Do I think, given how Luka played in this series, that LeBron showed you he can still get to a high volume scoring level in the playoffs if need be? That would they maybe have had a better chance in this specific series, given how Luka played all of it against this specific opponent, if they had Anthony Davis? Maybe. Do I think that's relevant? Not even a tiny bit. Because if they had Anthony Davis, we know that team could not generate enough offense to compete for a championship. We had seen it over the last few years. Now, you can say, well, this team couldn't either. And they didn't. But there is going to be an immense amount of Luka Doncic criticism today and this offseason. And even some folks who, not naming names, because I wouldn't want to call them shameless charlatans by naming their names, Kevin Wildes, who just a few weeks ago were going viral for explaining how Nico Harrison is at the forefront of the modern day Babe Ruth trade, which means a few weeks ago, these people, again, not naming names, Kevin Wildes, were comparing Luka Doncic to Babe Ruth, are now going to be like, well, how good is he really? Like, I think that's ridiculous. Do I think Luka had a good series? No. Do I think this is the not do I think, do I know? This is the first time in Luka's playoff career, DeMonze, where you can fairly and honestly say, man, it was one of the big reasons your team lost was because you didn't play as well as they needed. Yes, that is fair. Every other series he's lost, he has been either a triple plus or his team's just been outgunned. So the first series he ever played against the Clippers, he was 31-10-9 and hit a buzzer beater to win a game. The second series they ever lost was 7 games against the Clippers. He was 36-8-10. The third series they lost was against the team that won the championship, Golden State, in the conference finals, and he was 32-9-6. And the fourth series he lost was against Dallas in the finals when he was 29-9-6. And I'm sorry, against Boston in the finals. While I underrated Boston in that series, Boston has proven itself to be a great team. This series, they needed more from Luka on both ends, and he wasn't able to provide it. That's fair to criticize. This series, and here is the part, DeMonze, of Luka is out of shape. Luka's endurance is not up to par that I struggle with. Okay?
All right.
Let me tell you. How many players these playoffs have played more minutes than Luka Doncic? Do you have a guess?
Probably not one.
Yeah, 0.
Assume. Yeah.
He and Jamal Murray are tied for the most. So the players who have played 200 plus minutes these playoffs: LeBron, Cade, Anthony Edwards, Joker, OG, Luka, Jamal Murray. Okay? Now you might be like, well, some of those series went 4 games. Minutes per game these playoffs. The guys who are playing 40 plus, it's the exact same list. Right on the outside looking in is Jalen Brunson, Paolo Banchero, Christian Braun, and Austin Reeves. So here is something I really struggle with when it comes to the criticism of Luka's conditioning. Criticizing his defense, to me, is obviously totally in bounds and fair. When it comes to criticizing his conditioning, my problem is, would he look less winded and more rested like other starters do if, like other starters, he wasn't playing more minutes than everyone else in the playoffs? So, like,
also on the other hand, if he's not giving you exactly what he needs, we need from him in order to win the series, then maybe take him off the court for a little bit so he can come back in later and have more energy and put out a better offensive output or something. Whatever you want to call it.
What is frustrating to me is, if he was playing, average minutes for a superstar and just looked more winded than all the other superstars, then I would say it's more of a fair criticism. But when he is so this year, up to this point in the postseason, he's played more minutes than everybody. Last year, when everyone just killed him for how tired he looked at the end, he played 900 minutes that postseason, right? Jason Tatum sure looked fresher in those finals. Tatum played 768 minutes on a per game basis last year in the playoffs. Luka was at 41 minutes per game. The only guys to play multiple series and be at 40 plus were Kyrie, Joker, Tatum, Ant, Luka, and Josh Hart. And if you remember, at the end of last postseason, Ant said, man, I fell off because I was exhausted. That's what he said. He was like, I was exhausted. And this is year after year that this is the case as far as Luka's postseason usage, and then people are like, man, dude's out of shape. When I don't, he obviously is not in tip-top physical shape.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing that.
But
Go
I say
ahead.
he also doesn't play like everybody else. Like you're saying he's out there for all those minutes. Luka isn't freaking busting his ass up and down the court. Like he's kind of like moving around, and then when he does have the ball, he plays at his own pace. It's like he makes you play at his pace that is not a fast pace. So it's like, hey, dude.
No, listen, that's all fair. I just think it is a little. It is a little, I think, overstated the amount of, man, Luka's out of shape, and that's the problem. When each of the last two postseasons, he's led the NBA in minutes per game. And when you also add to it that the guy who just beat him in this series, Ant, last year said he was out of gas and Luka was moving on to the finals. Now, with that said, Luka should look at this year as a true failure. The team he wanted to stick with gave up on him. And then he got to the Lakers and they lost as a 3 seed, and he wasn't great. So he does need to be better. He does need to get in better shape. But there is going to be, in my opinion, there is going to be a massive overreaction to this series. And there is, if you want to say, let's see how Ant does the rest of the postseason. Is it possible that the question you asked the other day, Demonze, could Ant supplant Luka on the NBA hierarchy? Sure. Do I think he has done it already? I do not. I don't think that.
Well, yeah,
I think
especially he was barely at the hands of the win last night, so I could that's fair.
And I think that, right. And that's another piece of it that I think has to be factored into when we're talking about, these. Luka is one of, to me, just two guys in the league, him, Joker, and Giannis, that a game that like the one Anthony Edwards had last night feels impossible. Where it's just, there's only 3 guys in the league where even their bad games, it's like, what did he finish with? It's like 25, 9, and 7. Like the fly in that ointment is Friday night, Luka had a game where I think it was 17, 7, and 8. But if we take him at his word that he was dog sick, then you can attribute it more to that. And so I'm not making excuses. I am, though, explaining what I think, how I think this went down, and what it means for him moving forward. He does need to be better. But also, this one last thing on Luke before we get to LeBron. I'm amazed at the number of people that will just say, well, if Luka's on your team, you can't, your defense has a ceiling. As if we didn't see a team, again, last year with Luka not only make the finals, but from the All-Star break through, or a little after the All-Star break through the finals, have the number 2 defense in basketball. And in those finals, hold Boston way below its season averages offensively, and play actually. Dallas's defense was good in the finals. Its offense is why they lost. Like, the fact that it's not a hypothetical. Can you have an elite defense with Luka Doncic on it? If you have the right roster, you evidently can have an elite defense with Luka and Kyrie on it. And so I think we just saw it. We literally just saw it. And so there's going to be some overreaction, which is what we're supposed to do this time of year. But get ready, Demonze, for an NBA, player ranking list that doesn't just have Jason Tatum ahead of Luka Doncic, that has Jaylen Brown ahead of Luka Doncic. I mean, there is going to be, mark this down, Someone, and I don't mean some fan, someone semi-credible will come out with a top 10 players in the league list going into next year, and they'll leave Luka off it.
Okay, okay.
Let me see if I can figure out the 10 it'll be. Joker, Giannis, SGA, Tatum, easy. Steph grandfathered in because Steph, listen, again, I'm not saying that what I said about Ra's al Ghul have to provide balance in the world. That when Steph's great, he's great. When he's not, we move on. But watch TV today and see how much Steph Curry criticism there is. Just watch. I'm just curious. There'll probably be a lot of criticism of Dylan Brooks for being mean to him. But all right, so Joker, Giannis, SGA, Tatum, Steph. That's an easy 5. Now, I have to look at, the only way I can do these lists and not leave people out on everything is to just look at standings and just go team by team. So let me just do this real quick. Oh, Donovan Mitchell is going to be on there, especially with what Cleveland's doing. There's no question about it. You've got, who am I forgetting as an obvious one? Yeah, Donovan will be on there, but there's a very obvious one that I'm now leaving out. Jalen Brunson. Someone definitively, this will be their 10th guy. I got to find the other 2 because this is what will really get you the engagement. We'll put Anthony Davis at 10. Anthony Davis 10, Luka 11. That'll be there.
Yeah, 100%.
And then there's 2 spots open, so I don't know. Oh, Wemby, obviously.
Yeah.
Wemby will be on there. Now we just need one more, and so dealer's choice, I suppose. Cade maybe, Bron maybe, Durant maybe. If Denver keeps rolling, playoff Jamal. Like Jimmy Butler, if depending on what they do, they'll find somebody, and or Haliburton. What about Haliburton? As long as he can get his daddy to chill out, like there you go. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have somebody say on TV, maybe even today, if you're trying to win a championship, I'd rather have Tyrese Haliburton. That's gonna happen. And so, just be prepared for it. All right. Ask me the LeBron question.
How does this season and along with this series impact LeBron's legacy?
This season helps it. This series means nothing. Write a letter to your mom if you're mad about it. Not you, DeMonte. That'd be to my wife. I'm not. So I will at some point because listen, the LeBron legacy thing is only a LeBron versus Jordan conversation at this point. If that's what people have made it to be, that's fine. And I don't think LeBron was great. I thought he was great he was great in games 2, 3, and 4. But over the course of the series, I thought he was fine. I do think he was exponentially and demonstrably better than Michael Jordan was in the playoffs at any point after he was 35 and LeBron's 40. And that's because Michael Jordan never made the playoffs after he was 35. So if we're just going to do a Lebron Jordan thing, there's a whole thing. Listen, I'm not going, and don't even clip this because I will, because I know that the people that are in charge of this show's like analytics and metrics and all that stuff. They really need from me like a full-throated LeBron thing today, and I'm not going to do it. And so it's kind of a bummer. If you guys remind me at some point in the next month or so, I'll give you, I guarantee it, I will give you guys a LeBron Jordan side-by-side take that, even though I'm not on this platform, I know we'll do crazy on TikTok of all these things. I don't really know how to make TikTok videos, but our producers do. And we're just going to do a year-by-year comp. And we can put little check marks on it. So just The views and clicks we're not going to get because I'm not doing a LeBron thing today. Don't worry. I'll call my shot on this. We're going to have a 5 million view social media thing on the age year by year LeBron versus Jordan thing I'll do in a few weeks. I don't want to do it today. And I'm not interested. And last question on this before we get to the other playoff reactions, Demaze.
What is next for LeBron, Luka, and the Lakers? What do you think they should do this offseason?
That's not what I meant.
Oh, wait. Okay. My bad.
Sorry.
How do you think Wilds is going to be on the show today?
Peak annoying.
Yeah.
Peak. Like, it is. Here's the thing about my dear friend Kevin Wilds. I love him. I really do. Now, I've never, ever hung out with him outside of work, and he won't come over to the house. So maybe he doesn't feel the same way about me. But I love the man. I also think he is the key to the television show's success. I also believe it's not that he has bad sports takes. It's that he doesn't have them. He's just a weather vane, whatever that thing's called. Just wherever the wind's blowing, he's there. And then he's over here. And then at the end of it, he's like, told you so. He picked the fucking Lakers, and today he's going to be wearing a tuxedo, playing a piano, drinking scotch, celebrating a gentleman's sweep. His lack of take integrity is so infuriating that if I didn't love him as much as I do, I think we would have come to blows at some point. And that wouldn't go well for me because here's something America doesn't know. Kevin Wilds, sneaky jacked. Like legit sneaky jacked. Not just like late 40s dad bod jacked, but like legit jacked. I don't know how it happened.
I could see that.
Yeah, well, and so all right. So yeah, Wild's going to be peak annoying. All right, the producers wanted me to do reactions to these other games. I am tight on time, so let me quickly kind of pop through this if we can. For Giannis and the Bucks, if Giannis wants a chance to compete for a championship in the next 3 years, he probably has to ask out. And it sucks, and it's not really what anyone would have wanted, but it is the reality. And you know what? Let me text, because I'm supposed to go on with Kevin O'Connor. Let me just text Kevin O'Connor real quick that I need an extra 5 minutes so I can give you guys real answers to these things here.
Why didn't Haliburton's dad walk up to Bobby Portis instead of Giannis?
So let me ask you this, Demonze. Honest question. So it's 2 questions. 1, would you have blamed Giannis if he hit him?
No, I'm not gonna lie, man. He walked all the way up to him. He's taunting. He's up in his face. I wouldn't have. Now, if he would have just straight up decked him, like if I would have expected him to do something similar that he did to Mathurin, like maybe not knock the guy out cold, but like, hey, dude, get over here.
But here's the thing: if Giannis is telling the truth, which I believe Giannis, that when it first happened, he did not know that was Tyrese's father. Yeah. He thought it was just a fan. Then I really wouldn't have blamed him for hitting. If he just thinks some fan has walked on the court and is taunting, nah, bro, you can get knocked out. If I'm Giannis,
he was looking at him as if like a pit bull was at the dog park and like a chihuahua was like barking at him, going crazy.
And also Tyrese's dad doing an interview yesterday being like, I wasn't looking at him, I was looking through him. That whole thing is so embarrassing for Tyrese.
Yeah.
Here's my second question. Not to compare you to Giannis. However, I would get really into your basketball games.
Yeah.
Right? And once ever, do you remember when I'm going to say I went on the court after a game? It was, do you remember?
This AAU or was this high?
No, this was
like a high school game?
This was high school.
I remember something vividly. What was it? What happened?
I actually think it was freshman JV ball. I don't think it was I don't think it was when you were on varsity, but maybe it was. You you went to the free throw line with time expired, and you had to make both, and the game was just over, and you guys won, and
Uh-huh.
you made both, and I came on the game the moment, like it was one of those free throws where there's the
Nobody
game
even
is over,
right.
there's
Nobody's
nobody
lined
around,
up. Right.
and you made the second one, and I couldn't help myself, and I just walked up and dapped you up before you could even dap up your teammates. Um, and so, but
All right.
and I also once AAU ball um followed a ref out of the, like, out, not outside but out of the gym. And again, people are gonna be like, you got to be kidding me. Do you remember why I did that?
That's what I feel like I remember a little bit more. But what? Why was it? Was it? Oh, I remember there was a time I dunked and like I fell on my head. Or no, I didn't fall on my head.
No.
I hung on the rim, and the ref told me to let go of it, and I was like, I
And
would have just
teed
hit
you
my head.
up.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
It was
Gave me a
it,
technical, all that.
and in those, and if you got a technical, you couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
Like that was like, it was like basically one technical ejection. And so that's exactly what it was. You were on a fast break, dunked, and your legs went out from under you. So
Yeah.
you didn't pull yourself over the rim. You just, hung on the rim so you didn't fall. And he gave you a tech. And I I kind of followed him out of the gym, saying that's basically saying he was like putting your health at risk, like your safety. I'm like for real. Like if you have to worry, I'm gonna get a technical. You let go of the rim. So
Right.
so
Yeah,
so I
dude.
say all that to say I can't imagine, if how you feel as a parent. Your kid's an NBA superstar. I feel like this because my kid was awesome, amateur player. But I still never ever would have thought to mess with an opponent.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Celebrate with
Super.
you, sure. Get angry at the ref, maybe. I couldn't
And
believe
of
it.
all opponents in that series, like
Well,
Giannis is the
that's
guy that
the
you
other
go
thing.
after. Giannis, I
Giannis
think, was
was
the most
awesome. Giannis
poised.
is, yes,
100%.
and so I thought that was brutal. I also think it's,
He's
for
happy
the,
dad, feeling the moment.
yeah. I also feel sick for the Bucks fans because Dame's got the blown Achilles. Um, and Giannis might ask out, and you kind of can't blame him. All
Yeah.
right, Warriors Rockets last night. Can't listen. My pick was Rockets in 7. Pick feels shaky even after last night. The Warriors are prone to the throw this game away. Like, and that they up 3-1, they have the ability to do that. That's fine. Game 6 though, I if the Rockets can get this back to Houston for game 7, I think they'll win. Because I think that the Warriors will be worn out, and I think Jimmy's banged up. Winning game 6 in Golden State, Jalen Green, can you show up one more time for us? That's the question there. If Nuggets, Clippers, and or Knicks, Pistons is great tonight, we'll do an emergency pod tomorrow. Otherwise, I gotta go. So Demonze, great job. Everybody, please like, rate, subscribe, review, do all that. It helps us out more than you could possibly imagine. Maybe see you guys tomorrow morning for a quick emergency pod. Thanks to Blue Duck. Thanks to Volume. Thanks to DraftKings, everybody. Talk to you guys later. What's right?